Hey, what's going on, guys? Trey back again here to bring in another video. This one's going to be one more talking about, this is probably the last one I do, at least on this topic, talking about Junior Dos Santos and Alistair Overeem. Junior Dos Santos has basically said, I believe yesterday, that pretty much he does not feel like he should have to fight Alistair Overeem regardless of what happens because it's an unfair fight. And, some people are coming out calling it, saying that he's scared, yada, yada, this kind of stuff. Junior Dos Santos is not scared of anybody, okay? He will fight anybody. He's the champion for a reason. He's undefeated for a reason, pretty much in the UFC. He's a monster. He'll fight anybody. I have to agree with them in this situation. Now, this is coming from someone who, Alistair Overeem, was my favorite fighter up until this point, until we found out that he's been juicing all along, pretty much. He had trouble with testing before the Brock Lesnar fight. Now he's basically, they've caught him, he's failed, and he's going to have a hearing at the end of, I believe, the end of this month to decide whether or not, if he can explain himself and whether or not they're going to let him, fight Junior Dos Santos. They still have not announced an actual replacement opponent for JDS. Dana White has said that the fight between Frank Mir and Kane V is going to continue, and it's not going to be canceled. Neither one of them is going to be pulled out from it. So, who are they going to use? I really, I'm at a loss here to think of a good opponent that they could just put in there, to face JDS that would make sense. Aside from, somebody he's already fought, like Shane Carwin or somebody like that, who, I don't really want to see that again because there's, everybody Junior Dos Santos has fought so far. I think doing a rematch is kind of pointless because it's probably going to end up the same way. So I really don't see a reason to put in any of the guys he's already beaten. So there's not a lot of other guys left over after. I mean, there's Frank Mir, Alistair Overeem. That's about it. So it sounds like they're pretty much expecting that Alistair is going to be able to turn this around, and maybe the commission will let him fight regardless. Do I think he should be able to fight Junior Dos Santos? No, I don't. I don't think that Alistair should be given the opportunity to fight, period. Even if he tests clean, if they do another test at the end of this month or whatever, and his levels are in the acceptable range. Because, I mean, this guy had 14 times the acceptable amount of testosterone in his body. So, line up 14 dudes that are 280 pounds, and that's the amount of testosterone he had in his body, the equivalent of 14 280-pound men. That's unbelievable. That amount is crazy. So if that's true and everything, and this is no corruption with the athletic commission, and this is 100% on Alistair, I do not think that he should be allowed to fight. Period. At least not for the next 6 to 12 months. Because the thing about it is athletes that train on it, they cycle off before their fights. They know what they're doing. They know they're going to get tested, just before their fights. So they cycle off so that way they can, go through and test positive or test fine and, pass their tests and then fight. The benefits of it, you don't absolutely have to be taking it the day of the fight to get the benefits. A lot of people seem to think if you stop taking juice right after you stop, or TRT or whatever, the day you stop or the next day it's gone. It wears off. When you're building muscle and you're doing these kinds of things, if you're going to be taking that stuff, you can get results that you just can't get naturally. And then all you have to do after that is maintain those results. Now you're going to slip a little bit, and no matter what, you're going to slip, because when you stop taking it, you take a test booster on your off cycle to just get your testosterone levels, to that of a normal man. You slip a bit, but it's a slow, gradual slip. Yeah, if you're working out during that time, you can almost maintain your strength just to where it's at, even when you were on juice. You'll still become a little bit weaker and that kind of stuff in terms of strength, and your recovery won't be the same, but the damage is already done. You've already put on that extra muscle. You've already gotten into that kind of shape to be able to go ahead and on your off cycle still maintain that and go into the fight stronger than you could be naturally. It's just the fact of the matter. So, really, within the next 6 months, if Alistair fights, that's an unfair fight because he's already put on the muscle. He's already done the training. It's not fair. It's not fair to Junior Dos Santos. It's not fair to us, the fans, because this is supposed to be a sport. This is supposed to be clean. And obviously, you know, when it comes to Alistair, he's probably hasn't been clean since like 2006 or something like that, or 2007. Like, it's been a long time that Alistair has looked like this. And can we assume that he's been on it the whole time? I think we can. I mean, I think we can. We knew we knew he was on it for the Brock fight, and he got away with it. We know he's on it now. He's probably been on it in the past, you know, all the way through pretty much. I can't see, you know, anytime that he wasn't. K1 World Grand Prix, he was probably taking it then. You know, so it's just, man, it really, in the eyes of fans who respected Alistair, it's pretty much destroyed his name. You know, I mean, I still have some respect for him. You know, obviously, any fighter you got to have respect for, professional fighter. But when they cheat and they do that kind of stuff, I mean, it's, you know, it's pretty awful. You know, and here's the thing that's crazy to me. The craziest thing of the whole situation is Alistair knew they were going to do random tests on him, and yet he still did it anyway. So what does that tell you about how bad he needs this stuff? You know, I mean, think about it. If you have any 2 cents in your head, right? If you know the commission's going to test you, and you know that it's going to be random, it's going to be pop quizzes on these tests, don't you think you should maybe for the next 6 months to a year not do it at all? Like I don't get that. You know, how did he think he was going to get away with it? And still, like, I don't know, was he maybe using his brother to take the test for him or something? And then when he had to do it in person, you know, he obviously couldn't pass. Maybe his brother was given samples or something. I mean, I don't know. I'm just speculating here. But to me, that's just crazy. Like, if you know they're going to test you, why would you do it? Why would you do the stuff during the next 6 months? It sounds like to me the only reason why he would do it is if he thought he could get away with it if they were going to test him, you know, from his home, and he could go to his own testing center and he could fabricate the tests. Or, you know, maybe he had samples ready. Like, maybe he prepared samples already and then was just waiting for them to ask for them, and then he could send them out, right? So maybe he, you know, figured out a way that he could and do it anyway. But it sounds like to me either way, you know, it sounds like he needs it. You know, it sounds like to me he needs the stuff, or else he, you know, he feels like he just can't perform at the same level. So that's probably why he was on it anyway, even though he knew that there was going to be random tests within the next 6 months. I think it was 2. I forget. I have to reread it, but I'm pretty sure it was 2 random tests within the next 6 months at any time. You know, and he failed the first one. Like, they didn't even give him a random test that he passed. So that's interesting to me that he would still be on it, even though he knew he was going to get tested randomly. He must have really needed it, or just been so confident that he could get away with it. One of the two. I mean, he has gotten away with it a lot. So, you know, at least I think he has, because I think he's been on it for a long time. Anyway, that's my thoughts on it. Should Alistair Overeem be able to face Junior Dos Santos? I don't think so. Even though it would be a fun fight to watch, it's not fair. At least 6 months of clean Overeem, and then fight Junior Dos Santos, because then his body will be able to stabilize and fairly go back to, well, so even that, you know, not entirely. Like, there's still going to be benefits 6 months from now. That's the thing. But, you know, still it'll make, you know, there won't be that differential between, or the difference between, where Junior Dos Santos' test is and where Overeem's test is, and that extra strength that he put on, that extra muscle that he put on. See, the hardest thing about training and getting big like that is the bulking phase. You know, the bulking phase is what's going to, you know, you're going to have to eat like crazy. You're going to have to train like crazy. And if an athlete takes steroids during that phase, they can get results that you just can't get naturally. And then after, they just have to maintain it. So, you know, if athletes get away with taking this stuff even 6 months prior, you know, if they can maintain that extra muscle they put on and still, you know, just train to keep it on them, a lot of times they can. And the steroids they took even 6 to 8 months ago can still sort of be an unfair advantage in that way, because they took it during the bulking phase and they were able to push their body past those natural, you know, limitations that we all have. I mean, granted, the average person, you know, gets nowhere close to that. But, you know, in an average, if you stay in fairly good shape with fairly low body fat percentage, let's say less than 20% body fat, being able to bench press 350 to 400 pounds for most men that's capacity. Any guy you see that can bench more and that has a fairly low body fat percentage that can bench more than 350, 400 pounds, that's pretty much, you know, that they took juice to be able to do it. Even guys like Shane Carwin, Brock Lesnar. Shane Carwin was on a list. They caught him basically that he was taking growth hormone. Same type of situation as steroids. Take it for bulking, and you can get results that you just can't get as a normal person. Who else? Brock Lesnar. Obviously, when he was in the WWE, you guys remember what he used to look like when he was in the WWE. I mean, like 300 pounds and shredded, like muscle tissue popping out of skin when he used to flex and stuff. If you remember that, you can check pictures of it out on YouTube. So obviously, a lot of these guys, to get to this kind of huge stature that they're at, used growth hormones and steroids to get there, and then after that, they just tried to maintain it as best they can. And they can't all do it. Like Brock Lesnar did not look the same competing off juice, in the UFC as he did when he was in WWE on juice, But still, to put on all that size and then just try to maintain it, there's still benefits there too, and it still creates an unfair advantage. So either way, but I think either way, at least 6 to 12 months ban for Overeem is what is fair and what they should do. But there's so much money involved. There's so much money at stake. Maybe the UFC can influence them. Maybe, Keith Kaiser, Dana White can call him up and say, hey, please, please, please let him fight. Who knows? But it's still going to be an unfair fight one way or another. And Overeem is not my favorite fighter anymore. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about it. Should Overeem be able to fight Dos Santos? I don't think he should. Later, guys. Peace.